Thank you, Larry, for bringing me here because this is so very important for the folks sitting in the class and listening. I'm also so thankful to you, Larry, for guiding the students. So I know these classes are not necessarily easy, but it's going to be truly worthwhile. Before we get started, my name is Suraj Ethirajan, and like Larry said, we used to work together. And what I do with Grow You Now is I coach people in the industry. Either they are looking for jobs, if they have conflicts at work. What I do specifically is I kind of connect the technical aspect with the business aspect, the operations, and leadership. Mix all of this with psychology. I'm not a psychologist by trade, but I do add a lot of psychology in creating those win-win outcomes. And what I wanted to do today was cover a few things with you guys in terms of how to select courses, how to approach labs, mainly with the intent of how do you land a job, how do you network with professionals, either people like Larry, myself, or others on LinkedIn, or when you meet them face to face. And I want to give specific examples, use cases, scenarios, and scripts that you can then take. So at a high level, I want to kind of talk about how you can align your education with employer needs. And I really want you to think about not what you're good at or what you're not good at, but really position yourself how you can solve problems for someone else and why they can come and scoop you and employ you right away. I'm going to give you the tools to kind of think of it that way. In that same understanding, I want you to get to know how a hiring manager thinks. Right after that is also your resume. I do resume writing for a lot of people, but I'm going to give you all my trade secrets as to how to go about doing it and step-by-step guide as well. Equally important, maybe more important, is how do you network with others in the industry, either face-to-face or through LinkedIn. I don't want it to be enigmatic. So for example, sixfigure.com will automatically apply for jobs. You can do 10 jobs a day, 15 jobs a day, 20 jobs a day, but the tool works only as good as you use it. So I'm going to kind of give you some insights into what that tool is and how you can leverage it. Another very good resource out there is igotanooffer.com, making fast decisions. And there are many other leadership principles, but they have their set and they're synonymous to each other. These people, more than the actual technical details, they are waiting to hear certain signals, certain words that you need to speak. So you might be thinking, I gave the correct answer. How come I did not crack the interview? It's because these people are almost behaving like robots and they're checking off a checklist to see if you said these words. So it's very important to include some of that. Interview questions, it's all captured here. So if you're applying to become a program manager at Google, or you're trying to become a project manager at Amazon, or an engineering manager at Meta, what do these companies kind of look for and how to respond? There are numerous examples. I kind of want to show you how that's done. And then there's some real life scenarios that I do want to cover. How do you kind of classify yourself as the networker or the problem solver? And there's some case studies that I'm going to dive into with some tangible examples. So you can be like, okay, how do I repurpose this for me and what I have done so far? And how can I really put this in a way that the hiring manager goes, oh my God, I needed this person on my team yesterday. Okay. So first thing, I want you guys to remember this. Grades are important, but it's not all about grades. And even if you don't have a high grade or you end up missing an A, it's not the end of the world. What I found most important is me learning the application of something that would really translate to how it would be used in the industry was more important. So if you look at job descriptions today, you can go to LinkedIn and say, for example, you're trying to become a data analyst or trying to get into developing LLMs, or you're trying to become a project manager or RTL designer, whatever that might be. Look for job descriptions on LinkedIn today. Even if you don't take a class on that, there are YouTube videos, there are course recordings from your university that you can learn about. As long as you can have a conversation about it, even that is extremely helpful. So pay attention to skills. What I talk about, would like to use the term is skills SEO. If you think about a website, it is search engine optimization, the keywords used. So similarly, think about skills as a search engine optimized version for yourself. And the reason why that's important is in your resume, in your LinkedIn profile, if you don't have those skills listed, you get filtered out when recruiters are looking for you. So it's not just taking the courses, doing the hard work, it's making sure that you have a list of all skills that you need to include. Larry, first of all, what's the name of the course that you're teaching at this moment, like the class?
It's called Advanced Topics in Logic Design.
So anyone out here interested in becoming an RTL designer?
Sure.
So whether it's something you like to do or it's something that you're considering, try to find out what people are asking for outside. And it is less about if you know it or not, can you pick it up when you do work? That matters more. So I'm here to remind you that even though the job market might be tough, there are a lot of good people out there. It's a matter of you going and reaching out. So if you have developed self-esteem in talking about your failures, that is a very powerful thing. And the right manager would come and scoop you up. Another advice in that regard, if you have a particular skill or a project that you worked on, and if your competency that you would self-grade yourself from a scale of 10, anything greater than 3, please include it in your resume. I see a lot of people not comfortable unless they are an expert in a particular topic or a skill, they would not list it. You lose every race that you do not compete in. So if your skill level is 3 and above, please include it. If you like, categorize or collect all the high competency skills at the top of the skills section, and the ones that you think are closer to 3 out of 10, categorize them at the bottom. But please include them all. So your skills are your most important search filter. Hence, you can write about how your work experience, college experience, all of that. But if you don't have the skills, you don't get filtered in those searches. So that is step 1 before you even write your About Me section. Your skills section in LinkedIn is the most important part. Okay. Understanding the hiring manager's perspective. This is where I see you stand a better chance than most industry professionals. Because what do industry professionals have? They have experience, they talk about the things that they've done in their previous job when they go and interview. While that is important, how valuable are you in taking the manager from point A to point B? Because they have responsibilities, they have to deliver to a project. So instead of thinking, are you good enough? Think about how can you solve their problem. In the process of solving their problem, you get what you want. You get experience, you get a job, you get pay, you get a career path. So I want you guys to stop thinking, are you good enough? You are more than good enough. And I want you guys to all remember that. So how do you translate that to how you can solve people's problems? Is to understanding the hiring manager. So you understand the job description and you're paying attention to clues. If they're talking about fast-paced environment and navigate ambiguity, so this manager is likely understaffed and needs someone who is autonomous and resilient. Number 2, researching the company and team. So if you see a job description, ask Chat to kind of sieve through that, read up about the company, and give you speaking points that will portray you as someone who kind of has researched about the company and team and are asking some important questions and what to pay attention to. So you can have Chat also teach you a lot of these things, what to pay attention to. So based on the job description and what the company is going through, how they're transforming, you really can now use AI to give you a summary and put it in a way that you can digest it faster. So that is something, again, I'm going to request you to understand what their needs are. So then you talk about your project and lab work that resonates with the outcomes that they want to get. In a language that the hiring manager goes, I typically have to get this logic design out by Q3. I have to get this integrated into the software flow, and I need to make sure that a particular PLL logs at a particular frequency. And they need to do this in crunch time. So they have some business obligations and pain points. So whatever you have done with the project or worked with your project mates, you can translate that into language that sounds like it's in the industry. And that is very key. For example, if you are to position yourself as a solution in an interview, even though you don't have industry experience. So if pain is a lack of resources, highlight projects where you were self-directed. If you just drop these words, you'll just be in the top echelon of candidates interviewing. So don't stress too much on the technical. You guys are working very hard, you're studying, and it's not easy. I went through college and it's very hard. Equally important, maybe even slightly more important, is how do you translate that to what the hiring manager wants to hear? And this is an example. Okay. Next. So this is how I want you to think about it. The first thing what I do for people when they send me their resume to update it or kind of review it, Control A, that it selects all the text, Control C, copy it, and then I paste it like on a notepad or an Outlook email box. I want to see that when it pastes, there are no junk characters, things are not broken, because a lot of the more fancier resumes that come out with these fancy resume creators, they do not get easily absorbed by applicant tracking systems. The software that receives resumes, ranks people, redirects it to the recruiters and hiring managers. You would think we live in Silicon Valley or tech has advanced. These applicant tracking systems are ancient dinosaurs. As simple as it can be your resume when it comes to formatting, that is your best option. So the first thing is keep it simple. And I can also share sample resumes to kind of give you an idea as to what the format is. It deviates here or here and there, no problem, but keep it simple. Okay. Next, keywords needs to be standardized. One of the best places where you can get this is when you go to LinkedIn and go to the skills section. And when you start typing up a word, it starts giving you recommendations. That database of skills is your industry standard skills. So it's really important to use those industry standard terms. LinkedIn is one of your best places, not even AI, like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini. They end up giving you a lot of hallucination words. So unless you tell it very specifically, use non-hallucination rules, it's going to make things up. So for skills and keywords, LinkedIn is still your best bet. Next is action verb. I want you to think about every sentence in your work experience to have the structure. You start with the outcome first. People don't care what all you did. They really care about the outcome. Then talk about who you worked with, professors, teammates, industry folks who happen to be counselors or advisors. And then if you're already at a corporation or working, you probably are working with product managers, engineers, test folks, salespeople. So just talk about who all you're working with. So they want to see what is your breadth of influence or area. Lastly, skills and lessons learned. So if you see when you're putting a resume together and the work experience, you have outcome, number, people involved, skills used, and lessons learned. Even if you failed, include that because there's a lot of value in things that did not go well. For action verbs, I'm going to take a quick detour and show you this website that I absolutely love. It's 185 plus action verbs to make your resume stand out, the Muse. The reason why I love this is it breaks it into categories. This is an action verb for different scenarios. So for example, action verbs when you led a project, administered, arranged, chaired, coordinated. Action verbs when you increased efficiency. And before that was action verbs when you envisioned or brought a project. project to life. Networking and building fluency. So if you are connecting with people, there are a lot of specific strategies and languages and scripts that I'm sharing that then you can customize for yourself and use with others. Or if you're connecting with someone and you want to reach them out in a note, I put some examples of how you're reaching out to an alumni who's working, say, in a company that you want to work at. And here are some examples for you to use. How to engage and build trust. Again, comment on that post. You don't have to do this every single day, but do it twice a week, 10 minutes aside. What you can do is see what's here, mimic it, ask chat to optimize it for that particular post. Not more than 10 minutes, you're in and you're out. And let's see, practical tools. So tools like that takes away the heavy lifting and the burden of doing that and spending more time on getting to know the managers, getting to know what skills you need and how you can talk to it and practice. That's where you can spend most of your energy. And how to go about speaking in some of these, igotanoffer.com has tremendous resources. With that, any other questions, comments, or you can connect with me. My contact information is there. You can always bring me back on a different day and I can speak more to it.
I do have one question for you. Any advice on kind of there was a book they gave us once that was about I think it was called Skill Builder or something like that, where you did a test and it came up with a list of words that were kind of try to summarize where your value is in a company or just a society. Are you a fan of those?
Some of them, yes. I'm more of a fan of how you utilize them for yourself. There are a lot of skills or strengths. There are a lot of weaknesses. My advice is double on your strengths, forget about your weakness. So yes, take those assessments, but really multiply your strengths. Don't worry too much about your weakness. Partner and collaborate with others whose strengths are your weakness. So you don't necessarily have to get good at things that you're weak at unless it is absolutely needed. That's my only advice there. And then I'll end my talk today.
All right, well, let's give Suraj a hand here. If you can hear it, thanks for joining us.
Sounds great, Larry. All the best, everyone. Catch you later.